Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dear Van.
Is that all? Yeah, continue. Run the show. Oh, yeah. So Prissy is pretending she can't hear me. I mean, the moment I start speaking, then she'll respond. Anyway, it's good to come your way one more time. And we don't take it for granted at all to be able to come to your homes, to wherever you watch from. And yeah, it's yet another powerful episode of The Evan. So, again, we would really, really want to have it very interactive. We would really want your participation. And so go out there, um, react to the feed. If you think it's share worthy, go out there and share. So someone, if you think whatever you're hearing is good for someone else to hear, then yeah, go ahead and then share. That's all we request from you. So I'm doing exactly the same thing as usual. Okay, so yep, just share my feed. Okay, hey, so it's a cold morning out here. It's snowing, and yeah, it's always good, whatever the weather is, to come your way with Dear One. So let me introduce the topic for today. And again, when you come online, when you join the feed, just let us know you are there. Shoot a hello, shoot a hi, so you know you're with us. Um, it's pretty easy to take people or things for granted, and it's no different in relationships or in marriages by extension. So you would have a situation where people are all over each other and so on and so forth. And the moment they start their marriage journey, things sort of go into autopilot, and people can no longer appreciate what the other spouse does. Hey, Wanda, good to have you. Hi, Sammy. So today we actually talking about a very important topic, not just for our lives, but specifically for relationships. We're talking about gratitude. We're talking about being thankful. Now, Prissy, why do you think? Why on earth do you think people would really want to be with each other, would really do everything, go against whatever their parents are saying, try to be with someone, then all of a sudden at a point it looks like, oh, you become so familiar with your spouse that now people don't appreciate things again, like, or appreciate the other person again. You have any idea why it happens?
I bet it's human nature.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, so sometimes we forget that um, people go out of their way to do things for us.
Right.
And I saw, was it a post? Do something for someone once, they are grateful about it. Twice, they are surprised. The third time, they are expecting. Next time, it becomes how do you call that word? Entitlement.
Yeah.
And then when you don't do it the next time, they hate you.
Right.
So it is that continuous. So you are used to having it. So at
Okay.
a point, it becomes an entitlement. So
Right.
then people forget that it is actually a favor that is being done for them, and they are supposed to be thankful for it. And then if you are not able to do it for them, they still have to just let it go. But then it becomes an expectation or an entitlement. So I
Right.
believe that's how humans have been programmed somewhere unless you are conscious about it. Yes.
Oh, awesome. That's a very good one. So yeah, it would be very, very crucial for a healthy relationship to always have that sense of gratitude. And like Prissy just mentioned, it should be a conscious effort to be grateful, because the easiest thing you can do is just throw or sweep everything under the carpet and take it as, oh, business as usual. Like your spouse goes out there, out of his way, gets something for you when he's coming back from a journey or travels, or he's coming from work and thinks about you and gets you even a candy, like or cookies or something. For that person to have found 2 minutes to have thought about you out of all the things the person could have thought about in this world, I think it should sort of trigger a sense of gratitude, right? There are situations where, and I think it stems from the fact that we have traditional roles in marriages, right? And so it's more like, oh, but it's your duty to take care of me, or it's your duty to cook, or it's your duty to do X or Z. So if you do it, what's the big deal? I think that might be a reason why people just find it difficult to really be appreciative. I mean, and sometimes it's not, it's the small things, the little things, right, that helps to spice up relationships. And so if your spouse goes out of his or her way to do something for you, I mean, it's just good and nice to go out there to say thank you. Prissy, and I'll come back to you again. But do you think that it gets boring to always go out there and say, "Oh, thank you," like your spouse does something, "Thank you"? Does it get boring? Does it get too much? Is it?
No. So I personally, if I do something for you and I realize that you are grateful about it, I sometimes overdo it. Sometimes you even mention it. Is it because I said I like this? So you're always doing it, but it makes you even want to do more.
Yeah.
You know, the moment you show gratitude. But if for some reason you have a spouse that you do something and he or she is always complaining about the thing, you don't even have that urge to do it any longer. Sometimes you're like, oh, okay, even if I do it, it will not be noticed. So let's take, for instance, you have a wife who is a housewife.
Okay.
Then you go to work, and then you come back and always complain that, what do you do in the house?
Yeah.
I bring the money home. You are just home, but mind you, the house duty is not easy.
Yeah.
You clean. Sometimes you start from the morning. By evening, it's not done. So it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
So they put in so much, but you have some spouses coming back from work and complain. You know, at a point you get fed up. Yeah. Like, even if I do it, nothing will be noticed. So let me just sit down and let it be. Yeah. So that's how it is. So when you are not showed gratitude, or you do something and they make it look like you have done nothing, you don't have that urge to do it again. So I believe that there's nothing like too much gratitude. Right. It gives you some sort of how do you call this? It gives you some sort of excitement or zeal to overdo it or even do more. Yeah, it's like a motivation. Right.
That's awesome. Okay, so again, come to think of it, sometimes it's easy to be grateful for the good things, right? But I think that sometimes the best you can actually do is to be grateful for both the good and the bad, right? Because you might have a spouse that is maybe quarrelsome. For all you know, that is the reason why there is always some sort of activity in your house, and like there is always some noise here and there. Otherwise, because there are people who commit suicide because of loneliness, right? So sometimes you can even be grateful to God that you have a quarrelsome wife, someone who brings out the best in you, like tries to get you out of your comfort zone, try to also think of even something to say to counter your spouse during the quarrels. These are things you can be grateful for. So you can have someone and you say, oh, this person constantly worries me, or this person is constantly on my nerves. You're getting on my nerves every now and then. But sometimes life without that person is not easy to handle. You would wish the person were around to be getting on your nerves, right? Can you think of any negative things we can be grateful for, or seemingly negative things that we can be grateful for? And to the viewers out there, if you have any seemingly negative thing that you think is good to be grateful for as well in relationships, please shoot it out there in the comment section. Thanks for joining us, Courage and Nana Kwame. Yeah, Prissy, does anything crosses your mind? Because it's really easy to be grateful for the good things. Of course, if your spouse goes out there and it's always giving you good stuff, I mean, or your spouse is always making the right calls and all, it's easy to be grateful for it. But
so if you have somebody who is who likes to criticize you, like whatever you do, they'll critique, it makes you better.
Awesome.
Because you know that if you don't do it right, the person will talk.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would look like the person is, we do some things that subconsciously, like when you go outside, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may not know, but if you have that spouse that's always like, always pulling your legs or criticizing what you do indoors, you realize that you change with time. You become better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so sometimes sometimes it's good to have someone who is always checking you on your toes, making sure that you do things the right way.
Right. Because so in the long run, it actually makes us better people, because through your husbands or your spouses, but I don't want to say husbands to make it feel like it's only husbands that, through your spouse's critique, you might end up correcting something that would, save you from public embarrassment, right? So Nana Kwame says that that's making a good excuse for the bad things, or seeing the good in the bad. Absolutely. Because sometimes you would have something that seems irritating, but for some reason, when it is taken away from you, you feel a void. You feel there is something missing. So you have a spouse who is always, okay, why are you dressed like this, or why are you dressed like that, or why are you dressed? There is room to be grateful for that as well. There is room to actually say, thank you for always finding something even when there is nothing to always point out to. Because, we all learn, right? Every now and then, there are some who overdo it. But again, you can always find that good in that seemingly bad situation to improve your life, right? It's usually back in the secondary school and all, you would have very strict head teachers, right? Have you not noticed that when such people are leaving the school, people end up crying the more? Like, the students end up crying. I don't know if it's tears of joy, like, it's okay, finally we are free. or it sometimes people get to realize what the positives are late on. You get it, so that it is when the reality hits them that, oh, you wouldn't have anyone really chastising you any longer, or you wouldn't have anyone trying to correct you any longer. Then at that point they realize that no, we had something we didn't take seriously, or we took for granted, and we are actually losing out on such a person. And so, hey, the message out there is try and find something to be grateful for. You see, it's very easy to find fault, because for some reason God created humans in such a way that every human would have something very irritating about the person. I mean, no matter how nice the person appears. Hey, Jackie, good to have you. No matter how nice the person appears, there would always be something negative about the person, which you might not know. But I mean, as you see, like you see myself here, and it looks like, oh, this guy should be a very nice person. I'm not a nice person. I'm a very, Prissy will tell you, I'm a very hard, regimental, military type of person. You wouldn't easily like to stay with me, stay with me, right? There is always something that you would not be happy about when you look at your spouse, but it should be a conscious effort to look out for the good things, to look out for things of good report, to look out for the right virtues, and think on those things, and dwell on those things. Then what happens is that all of a sudden you wouldn't have so much reason to be complaining, right? Because it's you only see what you focus on.
Yeah.
That's it. And think about it. Anytime there could be so many Lamborghinis plying your road, they wouldn't really mean anything to you till you think about buying one. All of a sudden, you see so many of them on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Or you go buy a certain type of car. Hey, Paul, good to have you. You go buy a certain type of car. All of a sudden, you start seeing so many of that brand and model of car on the road. You never noticed it. It's the same thing. If you decide to focus on the good things, you would always have something to be grateful for. If you also decide to focus on the bad things, you would always have something to complain about. Prissy, I don't know if you have anything you want to say.
Yeah, so if you focus on what you have, like, and rather not focus on what you have not, or what the person hasn't done for you. Because I believe that, especially for we women, when we have a misunderstanding with, I've heard a lot of people say it, that then their wives go like, what have you done for me? No matter how many years they've been married to their spouses, since I got married to you, what have you done for me?
Exactly.
But I believe that even if it's 3 years, there's so much that your spouse has done for you. Right. But because there's an argument, you're like, yeah, you've never done anything for me. It's not true. We should focus on the things that they do for us, and then we'll be grateful about it, than focusing on the things that we are expecting them to do and they haven't done.
Right.
Because otherwise, because we are married to humans, they cannot fulfill all our wishes. It is only God that I know can do that, but for humans, they cannot. So it is better we focus on what we have, and rather than focusing on they have not. That's the only way we'll be content or happy and be grateful to our partners.
Right. So Sami says that, yes, what have you done for me? Yeah, it looks like that rings a bell with Sami. So you see, and that goes to a point Prissy just made. Even your parents that gave birth to you, they've not been able to fulfill all your wishes. In fact, even you yourself, you've not been able to fulfill all the wishes you have for yourself. Why do you lay that burden on someone's child, someone's innocent child, right? So we should be very calculating. We should be humans, and we should learn to count our blessings, right? We should be able to think through and so the humans are such that we always want more. Like we can't be satisfied, right? So we always want the next thing that we tend to forget what just happened and go on to what is next. Jackie says amen to that. We go to what is next. And so because of that, we don't pause for a second and go like, oh, this. I am grateful for that. Because to be honest with you, we would always have issues. We would always have problems. We would always have challenges, right? And so it should be a very conscious effort. Now you can see someone happily married to another person. Trust me, if one of the spouses is taken out of that marriage and given to you, you might be surprised there'll be a mess, right? Because most times it is all about how people process things, how people see things, and how people decide to respond to things. So today, find a reason to be grateful to your spouse. Find it. There would always be a reason. Let me be very sarcastic here. Before you got married, that person was your world. You in fact, when you were going to propose, I mean, for the men or the women, when you were going to propose, your prayer for that whole time in the world, your number one prayer topic was, let the person say yes. That alone is something to be grateful for. The person has said yes to all your nonsense and to all your excesses that you come with. That alone, for someone to say that, okay, yeah, I know you are not perfect. I'm willing to live with all your nonsense. I'm willing to live with all your donkeys, should be enough reason to say thank you to the person, to really be grateful. You get it? Because the truth is that for some of us, if there was a way for us to choose ourselves, to get married to ourselves, we would still say no. We wouldn't even choose ourselves. You get what I mean? So for someone going out of his way or her way to choose you know yourself. So for someone to have gone out of his way, her way to choose you, should be enough reason to be grateful. I mean, it's you could be married to the most beautiful person on this earth. You could be married to the calmest person. You could be married to the nicest person on this earth. If you can't develop that sense of gratitude, you will not even see what that person really is to you. It might take people from the outside to really appreciate the spouse you have. So hey, guys, let's go out there. Let's surprise our spouses today. Let them ask about what happened. Why are you all of a sudden expressing gratitude about the smallest things? I mean, it is a conscious effort that is needed to really see the good things, be grateful about it. Prissy, I guess you want to come in.
Yeah, I think that you have said almost everything. So we should be grateful to our spouses. Yeah. And the women, please, let's stop doing you have done nothing for me. I know my women. So please, and then the men.
Yeah, say that
the men make it look like, yeah, they are taking care of us and all that. And so it's like they own us. It's not true. We also contribute to the house. So they have to also be grateful. And if you have a woman who is also contributing financially also, we have to be grateful.
Right.
If you have a man that is taking care of your kids' school fees, yes, we know that it is our duty, but it's our shared duty because we both brought them to the world. So if one of them has decided that it's going to take everything onto themselves, we should be enough reason to be grateful, because we have men who will take salaries and go and sit at a drinking spot and squander everything. They'll tell you they don't have anything for fees. So if even they are able to provide fees and then you are taking care of the home with maybe food, you should be grateful and thankful. At least they are doing something.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, we can always find a reason to be grateful to our spouses. We can always find, and we can also always find reasons not to. Decide to choose the positives and always express that. Because, you know, there is, I always say that running a marriage, running a family is a lot of work, right? So sometimes it's just that it's just like you are on the tracks and you're running and you are about to give up and you're running and you just hear a shout from the stands that, hey, come on, move on, we're cheering for you. That is all that is needed to keep pushing you. And so for all you know, all your spouse needs to hear from you is thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you. That's all. And sometimes people, we have very weird things or weird ideas that we've grown up with and all. Like your spouse gives something to your mom or your dad, like the in-laws. It is nowhere in the constitution. It is nowhere. It is out of the person's good heart. Be grateful for it.
Yeah.
Don't make it look like, oh, but you, how can you have in-laws and you've not given them anything in this in X number of months, or how can you just give them just this thing, or how can you be grateful? Because there are in-laws that don't even speak to their parents-in-law. Like, you get what I mean? So there are spouses who would even reach out to their parents-in-law. Like, you can always find something to be grateful for, right? And so, yeah. Jackie is saying that this applies to most types of relationships, if not all. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is a general principle of life. Don't take people for granted. Be grateful. It could have been different. Things could have been entirely different. Always find a reason to say thank you. And it sounds small, it sounds trivial, it sounds like, oh, this is no big deal. But these are the small things that could continue to keep the spark in your relationship, in your marriage, in your, whatever it is. So today, find a reason. Go out there.
Look for it. Look for the reason. It's there.
Yeah, the reason is there. Exactly.
It's there.
It's there. It's
when
something
you look for
else
it,
has
you find it.
Yeah. Something else has clouded it. The person could be the most irresponsible person on this earth. I agree. But you can always find a reason.
A reason, yeah.
Yeah, you can always find a reason. So, hey, go out there, think through, and be grateful to your spouse. Be grateful to your, fiance, or be grateful to that person you are in a relationship with, right? Because again, if we gave you the chance to choose yourself, you wouldn't have chosen anyway. Okay, so thanks so much for joining us for today's episode of Dear Man. As usual, it's always good to have you around, and we're grateful for you. So we'll come your way again next week with yet another episode. We sign off at this time. always reminding you that no two relationships are the same. Thank you and bye for now.
Bye.